The self-love and self-discovery journey is not for the faint of heart. And what I mean by that is that social media has convinced people that you can cultivate self-love within yourself by doing some affirmations and some kind of boss girl power energy. This isn't just talking to women, this is talking to men or whichever gender you identify with as well. But I think it has kind of been taken on by women in the social media sphere as kind of yas girl energy. But what I wanted to say is that if you really want to work on your self-concept and self-love, then you have to accept that first and foremost, it's going to be a very long journey, probably something that you're going to work alongside most of your life, because it's not something that you just kind of graduate or complete, you just keep building on. And secondly, it requires a lot of work on your end. It's not just standing in front of the mirror, giving yourself affirmations, journaling, or saying to yourself, oh, I love me, constantly on repeat. To really cultivate self-love is difficult because it requires a couple of things from you. On the good days, it's great to love yourself. When your makeup looks great, when your outfit looks great, when you've been going to the gym, when you've just been working really well on yourself and you feel good on the outside and on the inside, and you're hitting goals and things that you want. Maybe you've bought a new outfit you look good in, or you've hit goals at the gym. But self-love really comes into its own, and self-concept and self-compassion on the tough days, on the days when you need to prioritize yourself but you're putting it off. So that could be you're eating crappy food and you know you shouldn't, you're not getting the sleep or the hydration that you need, but you've put so much into other people that you've forgotten about yourself. This could be things like meditation, journaling, things that you should be doing, or going to the gym that you've put off because life's got too busy. That requires a lot of strength to be able to still give something to yourself and leave something left over in your day for yourself, no matter what kind of day you get. And secondly, self-love requires this concept of boundaries and learning self-worth. And that in theory is great, but that in practical execution is incredibly hard and incredibly uncomfortable. So when you exercise self-love, it feels bad sometimes, it feels uncomfortable, because when somebody's trying to push a boundary with you, or somebody at work is not seeing your worth, when you're working on cultivating your self-worth, that means advocating for yourself. Or if someone's trying to push a boundary and take up your time in a half-assed way, and you know you deserve better, it's cultivating that strength to actually say no to it. And it feels really uncomfortable, because if you are somebody who wants to work on your self-concept, you are already somebody who feels like you don't put yourself first, so you already care about others. So setting a boundary with somebody, or actually in the wild having to prove your self-worth by giving your energy back, by not doing the behaviours you used to do, which was over justifying yourself or shrinking for somebody else, in the 3D is very uncomfortable, because we don't like to do this. But it's really important that you reframe it, that every time you say no to somebody or you set that boundary, you're actually reinforcing that yes to you, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Because we have to remind ourselves that we don't need to give our energy to other people. We also don't need to explain ourselves to other people, which we have a tendency to do a lot. And I know that we thrive on connection as human beings, but we don't have to just give to everybody because they've decided to give you some type of energy. It might not even be the level of energy you deserve. But fundamentally, self-worth is something that gets tested constantly. If you say to yourself, oh, I've worked on myself and I love myself now, the universe will test you. It will bring people into your life with half-assed energy. It will bring a work boss who's pushing you to do more and not paying you more for it. It will push family and friends to maybe ridicule something that you are working on, or, you know, the fear of being seen. You might get a message from somebody about something that you've done, and you kind of start to kick in that shame response. These are all tests of your self-worth, and that's why it's not an easy journey, because it actually takes a long time for you to learn to relinquish the discomfort, the shame, set the boundaries, and keep setting the boundaries and keep reinforcing your worth by actively doing. Because if you just do all the affirmations and you say to yourself on a good day, oh, I love myself, but then when things get hard, or someone's demanding something of you, or you've slipped upon a goal and suddenly you've gone back to that mindset of, I hate myself, I'm ashamed of myself, I feel bad, I don't know how to speak up for what I want, I'm really frustrated because someone's taking the piss out of me and I don't know how to deal with that at work, or with your boundaries, or generally just taking the mickey out of you maybe. It's going back to that voice that says, actually, I deserve better. And while this is going to feel so uncomfortable in the temporary, it's going to allow people to know that they can't do this in the future. So the short term is uncomfortable, and every time you establish a boundary, it's uncomfortable. But it gets easier, and then you develop this toolkit of knowing that you can do it. You can do something that's uncomfortable for yourself, and treating yourself like you would a parent, a child, a partner, a best friend. Sometimes it's saying to yourself, you would never let anybody else speak to your loved one like that, or your best friend like that. So why do you let other people do it to you? So this wasn't to put people off the self-love journey. It was just to explain that I think people don't caveat the self-love journey as a complicated, lifelong process, possibly. People just kind of, social media glitter it up with kind of affirmations and journaling, and like you'll just get there. But I think people need to realize it does require work, and that's why a lot of people aren't prepared to do it. But if you come in with the mindset that it's going to take work, but it's going to be the best thing that ever happened in your life, and it's going to change how you show up in your own life and how people show up for you in your own life, then I think you have much more chance of kind of sticking with it, even when it feels a little bit uncomfortable. So for the right people, I hope this message helped today.